Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson, we're going to learn how to brighten and dull raw sienna. And I'm going to go over the colors because they're running off the camera because I don't have enough room on the film screen. So got opaque titanium white, it's the Decor Traditions that I'm going to be using. Carbon black, raw sienna of course. Hansa yellow light, Hansa yellow, Perronone orange, permanent alizarin crimson, quinacridone violet, red violet, and ultramarine blue. Now with these colors, there's a reason why I picked certain colors out of this. In the previous lesson, we already did some mixes on shifting. And I covered Perronone orange, Naphtha red light, Hansa yellow medium in that one. So this one I'm picking some other colors. And also in the lesson in two more. Not this lesson, not the next lesson, the next lesson after that, I believe we're going to do a hue string, which we're going to use every color to mix with raw sienna. So, in carbon black, that's going to be a goodie. So what we're looking at doing is we need to understand where raw sienna sits on the color wheel. Okay, depending on what you're using, okay, it may be a bit more red, maybe a bit more yellow. Mine sits right in the yellow-orange part. It looks like it's leaning more towards red. It's not. It's more yellow-orange right in between. With that, I know that if it sits here, I can brighten up the colors by using something lighter than that. To make it lighter or brighter, I can use any of these colors here. If I want to make it dull, of course I can add black to it. I can add burnt sienna, raw umber, and burnt umber to it. We haven't covered those yet, which is why I didn't pull them out. But we can go to opposite on the color wheel thinking, okay, well, opposite to yellow-orange is thinking orange is blue, yellow-orange is blue-violet. So we can take a color in here. So ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue leans towards violet. Then we also have a violet here. So we've got, I don't have a pure violet. I make my red violet by either using red violet and ultramarine blue or permanent alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. So we can do that. And then I've got some quinacridone violet and permanent alizarin crimson. We can do that to see it. We already did this one, but we're going to do it again so we can do a comparison. So there's a bunch of different ways. So you don't have to go out and buy the paint already mixed up. Just by having your limited palette and then experimenting, it makes it so much better. All right, so I'm going to put that here in front and hopefully it's not going to mix. I'm going to move my microphone. So what we're going to do, we have our raw sienna. So instead of making a full chart going across, I'm going to make my mixes and I'm just going to write down what I did. So we're going to take our raw sienna first and let's start with brightening up the colors. So raw sienna and Hansa yellow light. Good amount of Hansa yellow light. Oh, you know what would help? If we had a base point to start from. So let's put our raw sienna here. Let's make our bright color here. So we're going to put the bright color here. It's important to have something to start with, right? Raw sienna. And I'm not going to be adding white to any of these for the brightening purposes, but just to see the true underlying color for some of the colors that are hard to understand. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that right now, because I'm going to end up coming back to it anyways. Okay, so we have that one. And we have that one. Colors end up being a little bit darker, so I might as well add the white. All right, so what we did here is we have raw sienna. We have raw sienna plus Hansa yellow light. Big difference in brightness, eh? Big difference. And if yours kind of looks, meh, I don't really see it, add another layer of paint. So I'm going to grab the color from here. Because the white of the paper is showing through. Just make sure that it's dry. Mine wasn't dry, so it's lifting up the paint a little bit. Take a little bit of the raw sienna. And let's go back in here. Okay. So if that made that, so if adding the yellow, anti-yellow light made it a bit brighter, is it brighter? But it is still a little bit dull because anti-yellow light leans towards green. So if we take raw sienna just with Hansa yellow, which is more of a neutral yellow, what happens? And then we'll add white. There we go. Big difference. Huge difference. I really see the brightness in that now. Really see the brightness. We'll let that dry, and if I remember to come back and I'll put another layer of paint on there. So that's raw sienna and then Hansa yellow. So this is yellow that leans towards green. This is a neutral yellow. Well, now let's do an orange. So raw sienna plus Paranone orange. We already know what that's going to do from the lesson we did last time, but let's just get a little bit of a refresher. Ooh, too much. Okay, we know it's strong. We know it's strong. That makes the most beautiful color. Do I have anywhere else to go? No, I don't. Let me add a bit more raw sienna. Let's go right over here. Just to show you. Paranone orange is so strong. So that is raw sienna plus Paranone orange. So when I go plus, it's always more of whatever color. So raw sienna plus is more raw sienna. And I'm going to take some white. Love it. Okay. And then we need to add some white to this one here. So all these mixes are much brighter except for one. The one with Hansa yellow light. It's brighter. It's brighter than, you know, raw sienna, but it's dull. It's not as vibrant. Now I was supposed to remind myself to come in and add another layer of color to make it more transparent, to make it more opaque. And this one here, is it dried out? No, not too bad. If you have the time, try to add a double layer of paint to your actual pure color swatches. I don't think I have enough here. You don't want to pick up any white. And this one. The white tends to make it the white paper tends to make it artificially bright, but it also changes the value, especially when working with semi-transparent colors. I think UPS is here, or in telecom with my Amazon order. If she really goes crazy barking, I'll stop. Now we're going to go, so we already know that by knowing where raw sienna sits on the color wheel, we know what colors that we can play with to make it brighter. Now we're going to do the opposite to say, okay, well, if raw sienna sits here, let's go to the opposite side of the color wheel to try and see if we can make it duller. What's interesting is when you're trying to make raw sienna duller, it's an earth tone. Okay, so it's naturally a dull color. But what happens when you're making it dull with an intense color, such as red violet or permanent alizarin crimson? And I just noticed I don't actually have red violet on here. Let's put that right there. I just realized that. So this is actual I'm going to say red that leans towards violet so I don't get confused. This is actual, I'm going to put Decor Traditions Red Violet. I've been using quinacridone violet for the longest time, and I'm changed it out now to red violet because I find it more flexible. So now we're going to take Rossi. We're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 4. Oh, no, I'm going to have to decide what to. I'll put the black down here. So I'm going to do Raw Sienna plus Ultramarine Blue, which is a blue that leans towards violet. Then I'm going to do Raw Sienna plus. Oh, you're such a turkey. I'm such a turkey. I picked up the wrong color. Was wondering why it didn't really. There we go. I was wondering why it didn't really look violet. Yeah. Hey, I'm allowed. So Raw Sienna plus red violet, which is obviously a violet that leans towards blue. Then we're going to take Raw Sienna plus Quin Violet, which is a violet that, no, that's a red. This is a red, PR122. Red Violet, this one here is PV19, Pigment Violet. This is a red that really leans towards violet. And then we're going to take Raw Sienna plus Permatalism Crimson, which is a red that leans towards violet. Then down here, we're going to take Raw Sienna plus Carbon Black, which is a black that leans a bit towards, and I put question mark because we haven't covered that yet. Oakley dokley. Raw Sienna and Ultramarine Blue. Ugh. This is one of the ugliest mixes I've ever seen. Oh, ugh. What does it make? What does this look like? This really needs the extra coat of color. Let me just hit that with the heat gun for a sec. Raw Sienna and Ultramarine Blue. A earth tone orange, yellow orange, earth tone plus Ultramarine Blue, which is a blue that leans towards violet. That's your pop quiz number 1. I don't think I asked any yet. Did I? No, I don't think so. What color does Raw Sienna and Ultramarine Blue make? It all depends on how much of the color that you add. How much blue, how much Raw Sienna. But this particular one here, what does it look like? All right, Raw Sienna. I'm not even going to answer the question, so that's your pop quiz. Raw Sienna with red violet. Too much. Red violet is so strong. All right. Wow, that's still really too strong. We don't want it to be so much on the actual complementary color that we're adding. This is where you can really enhance your color mixes by saying, okay, well, this is Raw Sienna with a little bit of red violet. What happens if we add a lot more red violet? And then you can create that mix. And then we're going to take white. Makes a nice rusty color. More white. What? Pop quiz number 2. What's a subject you think we could paint with this? Big difference between these two. Big difference. Let me take some of that. See the difference when you add a second layer? The white of the paper doesn't show through. So pop quiz number 1 is, what does this look like? Pop quiz number 2 is, what could you paint with this? So now let's take raw sienna and quinacridone violet. I'm going to run out of raw sienna. And quinacridone violet, just a touch. It's strong. It's strong. Let's add a bit more raw sienna to that. Ooh. Pop quiz number 3. Oh, you guys are going to be so glad when this course is over. I don't ask any more pop quizzes. Pop quiz number 3. We took raw sienna, which is a yellow-orange neutral. Added quinacridone violet, which is a red that leans towards violet. It's PR122. Look how close they are. Do you think this is brighter or duller than raw sienna? Let me dry it, and let me add another layer. So this would actually come in handy too when learning about glazing, when you're glazing. So showing the underlying color, which in this case is white, showing through the paint. Look at the difference. So is this brighter or duller than raw sienna? What do you think? And why? That's pop quiz number 3. Is this brighter or duller than raw sienna? And explain why you think it is. And then we're going to take raw sienna and permanent alizarin crimson, which I think is 2. No, that should be all right. I was hoping to get a pop quiz number 4, but I got nothing. Other than, not so much a pop quiz, but so you have to really, really, really be careful when working with intense colors when you're making these types of mixes because the color can so overpower. That's permanent alizarin crimson. You can see how it could easily overpower. Let me dry that. Add another layer. I should be doing the charts like this, so you can see 1 layer, 2 layers. Well, I'm not going back. And I forgot to add white. I need to be on a walkie-talkie with somebody out there. Gisele, you forgot to do this. Ooh. Purdy. Let me make a fresh color because I don't know which is. Is this the one with quinacridone violet? I think this is quinacridone violet. I'll just make up another mix. And white. Yeah, okay, that's a good value. Not a pop quiz, but more of an observation. What have you learned specifically with the dulling? This is the one that really, I'm really getting a kick out of watching. So if we just take this here, these ones here, and I want you to take a look at what have you observed with the mixes between raw sienna and ultramarine blue, raw sienna and red violet, raw sienna and quinacridone violet, raw sienna and permanent alizarin crimson. No, I already wrote it here. So it's a blue that leans towards violet, a violet leans towards blue, red that leans towards violet, and a red leans towards violet. So this is a PR1, as a come on, PR177, PR122, PV19, yep, and PB29, yep. I gotta make sure I keep my memory going with those things. So what's your observation on this? So kind of like a pop quiz number 4, your observation with these 4 mixes. Again, look at all the mixes we made with a limited palette, how much money you've saved by learning how to mix this instead of going out and buying the colors. All right, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you got to click the link in the description to go to the community or to Facebook. Facebook is where everything is happening. For the pop quizzes, write out your pop quiz question and then the answer, and post the pictures of your color charts and then your observations. This here, these mixes here, not some, well, maybe a little bit on this one, but more on these here. We're going to be covering these in a lesson in the second part, the more advanced color mixing, when we start making actual specialty palettes. We're going to be focusing a lot more on these as well. Alrighty, so I enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it too. So go post your answers, go post your charts. I'm going to clean up and get ready for the next segment, which is buy or DIY raw sienna versus yellow oxide. So we're going to assume that you don't have raw sienna. We're going to learn how to mix it up ourselves. So until I see you in that lesson, I need another cup of tea. Stay inspired.